The ballroom shimmered with gold light and expensive perfume. Every guest dripped with diamonds, the air thick with champagne and false compliments. Maya stood near the floral arch she designed herself, her sleek black dress hugging curves that caught more than one appreciative glance. Every detail perfect, every guest exactly where they should be except her heart. It was completely out of place. She whispered to her coworker. It was behind her stood Jin-Woo Park, the billionaire host of the event she'd spent weeks perfecting. He was taller than she expected, broad-shouldered, immaculately dressed in a tailored navy suit. His tie loosened just enough to look dangerously effortless. Long black hair fell past his shoulders, framing sharp features and darker eyes that held calm, dangerous amusement. Intricate tattoos peeked from beneath his collar and cuffs, serpentine ink curving around his throat. He leaned in, voice smooth as velvet, low enough for only her to hear. His breath warm against the shell of her ear. "Try me." For a second, Maya forgot how to breathe. Heat flushed up her neck, spreading across her chest. His cologne wrapped around her like temptation, making her dizzy. "I was joking," she stammered. Jin-Woo's lips curved into the faintest smirk, so close she could see the dangerous glint in his eyes. "Were you?" His gaze held hers, stripping her bare without touching her. Then he straightened, adjusting his cufflink. "You did a remarkable job tonight. My company owes you our next event." And with that, he walked away, leaving her pulse pounding and her confidence cracked. Her coworker gaped. "Did that billionaire just flirt with you?" Maya's lips parted, but no words came. She could still feel the warmth of his breath, the challenge behind his tone, the way her body had responded. She told herself it was nothing, but deep down she knew she was in trouble. And what he does next will completely change her life. Keep watching because this gets intense. 3 days after the gala, Maya told herself she'd forgotten about Jin-Woo Park. She buried herself in work, but his voice kept echoing. The memory haunted her dreams, turning them dark and delicious. When her assistant buzzed through, Maya barely looked up. "Maya, there's a Mr. Jin-Woo Park here to see you." The pen slipped from her fingers. Before she could recover, the door opened. Jin-Woo Park filled her small office. His dark suit emphasizing broad shoulders, narrow waist. Hair pulled back in a low ponytail revealed the full extent of ink crawling up his neck. Those stormy eyes found hers instantly. "Miss Chun," he greeted, his tone intimate like a secret whispered in the dark. "I hope I'm not interrupting." Maya forced a smile, crossing her legs beneath her desk. Billionaires don't usually make house calls. The question came out breathier than intended. He smiled, setting a folder on her desk, his fingers brushing hers. The contact sent electricity racing up her arm. "My company is hosting an exclusive investors retreat in Hana Island next month. I want you to plan it." Hana Island, every planner's dream. "I'm honored," she said carefully, "but I assume your company has preferred vendors. I don't trust anyone else." His gaze dropped to her mouth for a heartbeat. "You have an eye for detail." And he paused. "You speak your mind. I like that. I like watching those lips move when you're telling me exactly what you think." Maya crossed her arms, trying to hide her body's response. "And what's the catch?" "No catch." He leaned forward close enough that she saw muscle flex beneath his shirt. "Except you'd be working closely with me every day, every night if needed, until we leave." The air tightened. Maya swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. "I'll have to check my schedule." "Do that," he said, standing. "But don't take too long. Hannah waits for no one. Neither do I." As he turned to leave, he glanced back. "Oh, and Maya." She looked up, breath caught. "Next time you say rich men don't know how to please a woman." His eyes glinted, raking down her body slowly. "Save that line for Hannah. I might just prove you wrong in every way you can imagine." The door closed and Maya sank into her chair, heart racing, mind spinning. She was about to fall into a game she couldn't control, and part of her didn't want to. If you're already hooked, hit that like button right now. By the time Maya arrived at Jin-Woo Park's Sterling Dynamics headquarters, she'd built a wall of professionalism. Tight blazer, clipped tone, hair pulled back, sleek. It lasted 5 minutes. He was already in the conference room, his hair loose today, falling like black silk. He wore a simple white shirt, sleeves rolled, revealing tattoos that wrapped around his forearms. "Miss Chun," he said smoothly, "you're early. Someone has to keep this empire running on time." Jin-Woo's lips curved. "You're assuming it's not already." Their eyes locked. The room felt too hot. The meeting began, but it was impossible to ignore him. The deep rumble of his voice vibrating through her chest. The way he leaned forward whenever she spoke. Every time their hands brushed, a quiet spark pulsed. Hot, undeniable, dangerous. Halfway through, he stopped mid-sentence. "You bite your lip when you're focused," he murmured. Maya froze. "Excuse me." He leaned back, eyes burning. "Observation, not complaint, though? I'd prefer to be the one biting it." Her pulse stuttered. "You really shouldn't say things like that, Mr. Park." He tilted his head. "Then stop making them so impossible to ignore. Stop looking at me like you're wondering what I taste like." The silence was electric. When the meeting ended, Jinwoo stood, walking until he stood beside her. Close enough, she felt heat radiating from him. "You're brilliant, Maya. But you don't have to fight me so hard." "I'm not fighting. I'm working." "Is that what you call it?" "Because your body is telling me something different. The way you clench your thighs when I get close. The way your breath catches." Her face burned. "Hannah is less than 2 weeks away. I expect you at dinner tonight." "Strictly business," he said, though his eyes lingered on her neck, the curve of her breasts. As he walked out, Maya exhaled. This wasn't just business. It was dangerous. The tension between them is about to explode. Don't click away now. The night sky stretched beyond the jet windows. Maya sat rigid, clutching her tablet. Jinwoo looked unfairly composed, dark slacks hugging his thighs, open collar revealing tattoo edges. Even at 30,000 feet, he exuded control. Dominance. "Are you always this tense on planes?" he asked. "I'm not tense, just focused. You've read the same page for 10 minutes, and you keep crossing and uncrossing your legs." Before she could reply, the plane jolted. Her tablet slipped. Without thinking, Jinwoo pulled her toward him. She was pressed against his chest. Solid warmth, hard muscle. The turbulence rattled and his arm tightened, his other hand splaying across her lower back. "You're okay," he murmured near her ear. "I've got you." She felt his breath, hot and deliberate. His hair fell forward, brushing her shoulder. His thumb stroked her back in slow circles. "You can let go now," she whispered, though she didn't move. "Can I?" His lips were so close to her throat. When the plane steadied, he released her slowly, his fingers brushing her wrist where her pulse hammered. "You don't like giving up control, do you?" "I don't like being someone's weakness." He studied her, tucking hair behind his ear. "Maybe strength isn't about control, Maya. Maybe it's about who you trust enough to lose it with, who you trust enough to let take you apart." Her breath hitched. No man had ever spoken like that, with depth, with promise. She turned to the window, heart racing, but she could still feel him watching. Feel the ghost of his hands. "Wait until you see what happens next, because everything is about to change. Stay with me." Hannah Island shimmered beneath golden light. From her balcony, Maya stared at volcanic landscape and endless sea. Behind her, a knock sounded. Jinwoo stood in the doorway. No suit jacket, just a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, revealing ink, hair loose, falling past his shoulders. "You skipped dinner," he said softly. "I wasn't hungry." "A lie." He stepped closer. "Then why does your voice shake like you're starving?" His eyes dropped to her mouth, then lower, lingering on the rapid rise and fall of her chest. "You shouldn't say things like that." "Maybe I am. Maybe I'm doing more than flirting. Maybe I'm imagining what you look like when you come." Silence filled the space. Thick charged. "Come with me," he said suddenly, extending his hand. "No business. Just Hannah. Just us." Against every rule, Maya took his hand. His fingers closed around hers, pulling her close for a second. Close enough she felt hard planes against her softness. He led her through narrow streets to a small traditional restaurant. They shared soju and laughter, talking about dreams and secrets. But underneath was a current, dark and thrilling. "I used to think money could fix everything," Jinwoo said, eyes tracing her lips, her throat. "But it can't buy peace or connection or the way you look at me right now. Like you want to devour me as much as I want to devour you. I'm not looking at you in any way. Then maybe I'm the one imagining what your skin tastes like. What sounds you make when someone touches you the way you need." The walk back was torture, their hands brushing. Each touch traveled straight to her core. At her door, Maya turned, chest height, body aching. "Good night, Jinwoo." He leaned in, lips almost touching her ear. "You make good night sound like a promise, like an invitation." For a moment, She thought he'd kiss her. Instead, his thumb traced her bottom lip slowly, pulling it down. She gasped, and his pupils dilated. He simply looked at her, his thumb still on her lip. Then he walked away. That restraint felt more dangerous than any touch. The next evening, Hannah hummed outside. Inside her suite, her thoughts were louder. Every moment replayed. She'd showered, but it only made it worse. Now she stood in just a silk robe, skin damp, curls loose and wild. She was pouring wine when a knock came. Jin-woo stood there, eyes darker than night, wild and hungry, hair tied back loosely. He looked at her, taking in the robe, her bare legs, wet hair. His jaw clenched. "You've been avoiding me." "I've been working," she replied, clutching the robe closed. He stepped inside, closing the door, never taking his eyes off her. "That's not what I asked. You're my client. This complicates things." He moved closer, slow, predatory, stopping just short of touching her. She felt heat radiating. "Everything about you complicates me. I shouldn't feel them," he said, voice raw. "But I do. I feel everything. I feel how much I want you. How much I need to touch you. How much I'm dying to know if you're as soft as you look." For a moment, she saw through the armor. Powerful billionaire stripped to something human, desperate. "Since that night at the gala, I can't stop thinking about you. The way you make me feel like I'm not just money in headlines. The way I imagine you beneath me, saying my name. You don't even know me. Then tell me who you are. I want to know every reason you look away when I get too close. Every fantasy you've had about me, because I know you have them. I can see it in your eyes." Tears pricked her eyes. "I'm not someone people choose. I'm the one they forget." He reached out, brushing a tear away, then brought his thumb to his lips, tasting it. His eyes closed. "Then let me be the one who remembers. Let me be the one who makes you forget everyone before me." The air crackled. Her robe had loosened, revealing more skin. His eyes dropped, darkening. Maya didn't step back. Instead, she leaned forward just an inch. "This is the moment everything shifts. Drop a comment if you're feeling this." His control snapped. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, mouth crashing against hers. Not gentle, hungry, claiming desperate. She gasped and he took advantage, tongue sliding against hers, tasting, devouring, her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. He walked her backward until her back hit the wall, his body pressing against hers, letting her feel exactly what she did to him. His other hand slid down her side over silk, gripping her hip, her thigh, lifting her leg around his waist. She moaned, and he groaned in response, the sound vibrating through her. His lips left hers to trail down her jaw, her neck, finding that spot that made her gasp, sucking, biting gently, marking her. "Jin-woo," she breathed, hands tangling in his hair. "Say it again," he demanded against her skin, hands sliding higher on her thigh. Discovering she wore nothing beneath, he pulled back to look at her, eyes black with desire. "Say my name again." "Jin-woo," she whispered, and he captured her mouth again. This kiss slower but deeper, memorizing the taste of her. When he pulled away, they were both breathing hard, her lips swollen, his hair disheveled. He rested his forehead against hers, thumb stroking her cheek. "I should go," he said, though he made no move. "I should make you," she replied, legs still wrapped around him. He smiled against her lips, pressing one more soft kiss. Tomorrow, I won't stop. But tonight, I want you to think about this, about me, about what's going to happen when I finally have you." And then, with restraint that seemed impossible, he unwrapped her leg, stepped back, walked to the door. He paused, looking back at her against the wall. "Sweet dreams, Maya. I know I won't be having any." Morning sunlight poured through. Jin-woo was gone, leaving only a scent on her pillow, the memory of his mouth, and a note. "You make Hannah feel real. Tonight, I'm going to make you feel everything. Don't disappear." Her body flushed, remembering, but by noon, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She opened one and froze. A photo, Jin-woo and her, his hand in her hair, her leg wrapped around him, pressed against a wall. The headline screamed, "Korean billionaire Jin-woo Park's new flame. Event planner scandal." Her stomach dropped. Canceled contracts filled her email. Whispered judgments to them. She was sleeping her way up. When Jin-woo found her in the lobby, cameras flashed outside. He strode in confident, protective, dangerous, hair pulled back, jaw tight. "Come with me." In his penthouse, she turned on him. You don't understand. My reputation is all I have. They'll think they can think whatever they want. I'll make a statement. I'll tell them you're with me, that you're mine. Maya shook her head, curls bouncing. That only proves them right. You can buy silence, but I can't buy my name back. The words cut through him. Finally, Maya whispered, I need space, please. He hesitated, nodded once. If that's what you want. When he left, Maya sank to the floor, clutching her phone as flashes lit the streets. For the first time, the silence felt empty. Though she'd walked away to save her name, her heart stayed where he'd left it, along with her body's memory of his touch. If this broke your heart, keep watching because the story isn't over. 2 weeks since Hannah, since Jean Woo, since that kiss that haunted her dreams and made her wake aching. Maya buried herself in work. Her name had slipped from tabloids, but not whispers. Every time her phone lit, her heart jumped. Her body responded. It never was him. She told herself she was fine. But every night, she replayed his voice. You don't have to fight me so hard. And other things. The way he groaned when she pulled his hair, how his hands had felt. Until one evening, a knock came. When she opened it, he was there, eyes tired, but burning, hair loose, falling in dark waves, almost vulnerable, but something else in his eyes. Determination, hunger. Jean Woo, she whispered, breath catching, body remembering. Maya, you look exhausted. That's what happens when you're rebuilding your life. He nodded. I tried to fix it. Called in favors. I didn't want your money or power. I just wanted my peace. And what about me? What about what we started? You don't get to ask that. You'll move on. Do you really think that's what I want? You think I've slept since Hannah? You think I haven't thought about that night every damn second? She blinked, caught off guard by the rawness. He ran a hand through his hair. I've built empires, Maya, but you're the only thing I can't control. The only thing that makes everything meaningless. You're the only thing I dream about. The only thing I want. Her heart pounded, defenses crumbling, body leaning toward him. Why are you here? Because I can't lose you. Taught me what love feels like, what wanting feels like, what needing someone so badly it hurts feels like. Don't punish me for learning too late. Tears burned. I need time. Then I'll wait. Forever if that's what you need. But know this. He stepped closer, chest against her back, lips near her ear. You're mine, Maya. You've been mine since that night, and I'm yours completely. Then he left, and the air felt colder. What he sacrificed for her will bring you to tears. Keep watching. Days passed. Maya threw herself into work, but she couldn't ignore the ache between her legs, no matter how many cold showers until she saw headlines. Jean Woo's company under fire. CEO refuses multi-billion-won deal over scandal. Chooses love over money. Jean Woo had been negotiating a merger with a Chinese firm that publicly mocked her. The same firm that ruined her reputation, and he'd walked away for her. Phone rang. Kai Nakamura, Jean Woo's best friend. Maya, he did it for you. They wanted him to denounce you publicly. He told them to go to hell. Said you were the best thing that ever happened to him. He wanted to said he'd rather lose money than lose you. That you were worth more than everyone in his account. That night, Maya couldn't think. Every reason to stay away crumbled. By morning, she was outside his building, heart racing, body humming. When Jean Woo stepped out, he looked surprised. Hair tied messily, sleeves rolled, exhausted, but beautiful. Maya, why would you do that? You lost billions because of me. It's just money. You're the only thing I couldn't replace. The only thing I need. You didn't have to prove anything. Yes, I did. You thought I wanted to protect your image. I didn't. I wanted to protect your heart. I wanted to prove I choose you always. And what if I'm still scared? Then I'll keep showing you until you're not. Then Maya took one step forward, closing the distance. I don't need the world to believe in us. I just need you to mean it. His hand found hers, fingers threading. I've never meant anything more, and I've never wanted anything more than I want you right now. Her breath hitched at the double meaning. If you believe in this kind of love, show it by liking this video. Rain drizzled over Seoul, painting Jean Woo Park's penthouse silver. Maya stood by the window. The chaos had quieted. Just her, the man who changed everything, in silence that felt like peace. But underneath was something else. Anticipation. Jean Woo stepped in, footsteps slow. He wasn't in a suit, just a dark sweater clinging to his frame. Sleeves pushed up, hair loose, eyes softer, but darker, hungrier. You didn't have to come back. I didn't plan to, but you left me no choice. You kept showing up. You sacrificed everything. I wasn't showing up for forgiveness. I was showing up for you because you're mine. She walked closer. When I said rich men don't know how to please a woman, I wasn't just talking about the bedroom. I meant they don't listen. They don't see us. But you saw me when I didn't even see myself. You made me feel things I didn't think I could feel. And you taught me that love isn't control, it's surrender. I don't want to own you, Maya. I want to earn you every day. I want to worship you. His hand cupped her face. Then, with reverent motion, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box to catching light. Then promise me one thing. Never stop laughing like you did that night. The one that changed everything. And never stop being mine. She laughed through tears, stepping into his arms. Careful what you wish for, mister, and when he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was deep, claiming, full of promise. His hands slid down, gripping her, lifting her. Legs wrapped around his waist as he carried her toward the bedroom. Tonight, he murmured against her lips. I'm going to show you exactly how well I can please a woman. And as he laid her on his bed, his body covering hers, hands already working at her clothes, Maya realized every moment of pain had been worth it. Because this man didn't just love her, he worshipped her. If this story touched your soul and made you believe in real love again, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional journey like this. Second, drop a comment below and tell me which moment had you holding your breath. Was it the turbulence scene, the first kiss against the wall, or that final promise? I read every single comment, and your words inspire these stories. And third, smash that like button to support this channel and help us reach more people who need to hear stories about real, passionate, unshakable love. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this journey with me. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, it's going to be just as unforgettable. 6 months later, Maya thought she had everything figured out. Jean Woo was hers, completely and utterly. Their love story had become legend in Seoul's elite circles, whispered about in boardrooms and society galas. But empires built on passion and power attract enemies like moths to flame. And tonight, those enemies were about to strike. The Sterling Dynamics annual shareholders meeting was supposed to be routine. Maya had planned every detail, from the crystal chandeliers to the champagne selection. She stood at the back of the conference room, watching Jean Woo command the room with effortless authority. His dark suit emphasized every line of his powerful frame, and when his eyes found hers across the crowd, heat still shot through her body like lightning. Everything seemed perfect until the doors burst open. 3 men in expensive suits entered, flanked by security and lawyers. Maya recognized the lead man immediately from business magazines. Chen Wei, CEO of Apex Global, Jean Woo's biggest rival. The man who tried to destroy her reputation months ago. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen Wei announced, his voice cutting through the murmur of conversation. I'm here to formally announce Apex Global's hostile takeover of Sterling Dynamics. We've acquired 43% of outstanding shares. The room erupted. Shareholders shouted questions, reporters scrambled for their phones, and security moved toward the intruders. But Jean Woo remained perfectly still, his expression unreadable. Maya felt her stomach drop as she watched the man she loved face the destruction of everything he'd built. Jean Woo's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Get out of my building. Chen Wei smiled, cold and calculating. This isn't your building anymore, Park. It belongs to the shareholders now. And they've made their choice. Maya watched Jean Woo's jaw tighten, saw the muscle in his cheek twitch the way it did when he was holding back fury. She knew that look. It was the same expression he wore when someone tried to take what was his. You're making a mistake, Jean Woo said quietly. But his tone carried a warning that made grown men step back. The only mistake here, Chen Wei replied, pulling out a tablet, was you choosing your reputation over business sense. Falling for some nobody event planner instead of focusing on what matters. Your shareholders agree. Maya's blood turned to ice. This wasn't just about business. This was about her. About them. About the choice Jean Woo had made to walk away from that merger to protect her. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Lawyers argued, shareholders demanded answers, and reporters pushed forward for statements. But Maya only had eyes for Jean Woo. He looked across the room at her, and in that moment, she saw everything he was feeling. Rage, determination, And underneath it all, fear. Not fear of losing his company, but fear of losing her. 2 hours later, Maya sat in Jin Woo's penthouse office, watching him pace like a caged predator. His tie was gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his hair disheveled from running his hands through it. She'd never seen him look so dangerous. They planned this, he said, his voice tight with controlled fury. The timing, the shares, everything. They've been building this for months. Maya's throat felt tight. This is because of me. Because you chose me over that merger. He stopped pacing and turned to face her. His eyes were dark, intense, burning with something that made her breath catch. Don't you dare blame yourself for this. But it's true, isn't it? If you'd taken that deal, if you'd denounced me publicly like they wanted, if I'd done that, I would have lost the only thing that matters. He crossed to her in 3 strides, cupping her face in his hands. You think I care about money more than you. You think I regret choosing you. I think you're about to lose everything you've worked for. His thumb brushed across her cheek. Maya, I've spent my entire life building an empire. But none of it meant anything until you walked into my world. I'd rather have you and nothing else than have everything and lose you. The words hit her like a physical blow. She wanted to believe him, but the fear was stronger. What if we're not enough? What if choosing each other destroys us both? Then we'll rebuild, he said simply. Together. But the next morning brought worse news. Shinwei hadn't just targeted Sterling Dynamics. He'd gone after Maya's business too. 3 of her biggest clients canceled their contracts, citing concerns about her association with Jin Woo. Her bank called about her business loan. Her insurance was suddenly under review. Maya stared at the stack of cancellation notices on her desk, her hands shaking. They weren't just trying to destroy Jin Woo. They were trying to destroy her too. Force her to become the weakness they claimed she was. When Jin Woo found her that evening, she was sitting on the floor of her office, surrounded by contracts and legal papers, tears streaming down her face. Maya, he breathed, dropping to his knees beside her. What happened? She looked up at him, seeing the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight he was carrying. They're coming after me too. My business, my clients, everything. They want to prove that loving you was the worst mistake I ever made. His jaw tightened. I'll fix this. How? She laughed bitterly. You can't even save your own company. The words hung between them like a blade. Jin Woo's expression went very still, very careful. Maya immediately regretted saying it, but the damage was done. You're right, he said quietly. I can't save my company. And apparently, I can't protect you either. Jin Woo, I didn't mean. But he was already standing, already walking away. Maybe they're right. Maybe choosing each other was a mistake. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded like thunder. For the next week, Maya threw herself into trying to save her business. She met with lawyers, called clients, begged for meetings. But everywhere she went, the answer was the same. Nobody wanted to associate with Jin Woo Park's woman. Not while he was under siege. She hadn't heard from Jin Woo in 5 days. The tabloid said he was working around the clock to fight the takeover, meeting with investors and lawyers, calling in every favor he'd ever earned. Part of her wanted to go to him, to apologize for what she'd said, to tell him she didn't care about the business as long as they were together. But another part of her, the part that had survived on her own for so long, whispered that maybe this was how it was always going to end. Maybe love wasn't enough when the whole world was against you. The call came at midnight. Kai Nakamura's voice was tight with worry. Maya, you need to get to the hospital. Jin Woo collapsed during a board meeting. They think it was exhaustion, but he's asking for you. Maya's blood turned to ice. Which hospital? Seoul National. Maya, he's been working for 6 days straight. He hasn't eaten, hasn't slept. The doctors say he's pushing himself too hard. Maya was already reaching for her keys. I'm on my way. She found Jin Woo in a private room, looking pale and exhausted against the white hospital sheets. There were 4 lines in his arm and monitors beeping softly. But when he saw her in the doorway, his eyes still lit up with that familiar fire. You came, he said, his voice hoarse. Of course I came, you idiot. She moved to the chair beside his bed, taking his hand in hers. What were you thinking, working yourself into the hospital? He squeezed her fingers weakly. I was thinking about you. About us. About not losing the only thing that's ever mattered. Tears burned her eyes. Jin Woo, I'm so sorry. What I said about you not being able to save your company was true, he interrupted. I can't save it. Not the way it was. Her heart clenched. What do you mean? He shifted in the bed, turning to face her fully. I've been thinking about what you said, about how choosing each other might destroy us. And you're right. Loving you has cost me my company, my reputation, everything I thought I wanted. Maya felt her heart break a little. So what are you saying? I'm saying, he continued, his voice getting stronger, that I don't care. I'd rather have one day with you than a lifetime without you. I'd rather be broke and yours than rich and alone. But your company is just a company. He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to her palm. You are my life, Maya. You are my empire. Everything else is just details. She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. But they're destroying everything we've built. Then we'll build something new, something better, something that's ours. The door opened, and Kai Nakamura stepped in, looking grim. Jinwoo, I have news about the takeover. Jinwoo didn't take his eyes off Maya. Whatever it is, tell me. Kai glanced between them. Chen Wei's made his final move. He's offering to buy out your remaining shares for 30 cents on the dollar. Take it, or he'll force you into bankruptcy. Maya felt Jinwoo's hand tighten around hers. She expected him to explode, to rage, to fight. Instead, he smiled. Tell him I accept, Jinwoo said calmly. Both Maya and Kai stared at him. What? They said in unison. You heard me. I accept his offer. He can have Sterling Dynamics. Jinwoo, Kai said slowly, are you sure about this? That company is your life's work. No, Jinwoo said, looking at Maya. This is my life's work. He brought their joined hands to his chest, over his heart. Everything else is just business. Maya felt her world shift. You're really willing to give it all up. For me. I'm not giving anything up, he said softly. I'm choosing what matters. I'm choosing you. 3 months later, Maya stood in the ballroom of the Grand Hyatt, surveying the most important event she'd ever planned. It wasn't a corporate function or a society gala. It was the launch party for Parkshin Enterprises, the company she and Jinwoo had built together from nothing. The room was smaller than the Sterling Dynamics events she used to plan, but it was theirs. Every detail chosen together, every decision made as partners. The guest list was carefully curated, investors and clients who believed in their vision rather than their connections. Jinwoo found her by the champagne fountain, looking devastating in a navy suit that emphasized his broad shoulders. His hair was shorter now, more professional, but his eyes still held that dangerous fire that made her pulse race. Nervous, he asked, slipping his arms around her waist from behind. Maya leaned back against his chest. Excited. This feels different from anything I've ever planned before. Because it's ours, he murmured against her ear. Everything we've built together. She turned in his arms, looking up at the man who'd given up an empire for her. Do you ever regret it? Walking away from Sterling Dynamics. His hands came up to frame her face. Maya, Sterling Dynamics was what I did. You are who I am. I've never regretted choosing who I am over what I do. The words made her heart flutter the same way they had that first night, when he'd whispered try me in her ear. But now they carried the weight of everything they'd survived together. The launch party was a success. Investors were interested, clients were intrigued, and the media coverage was overwhelmingly positive. But Maya's favorite moment came when she spotted Chen Wei across the room, looking surprised and slightly worried. He'd expected Jinwoo to fail without Sterling Dynamics. He'd expected Maya to crumble under the pressure. Instead, they'd emerged stronger, united, unstoppable. Later that night, in the penthouse apartment they now shared, Maya found Jinwoo on the balcony, looking out over the Seoul skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars, and she could see the Sterling Dynamics building in the distance, now bearing Chen Wei's corporate logo. Any regrets? She asked, joining him at the railing. He pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. About which part? Losing my company. Starting over. Falling in love with a woman who challenges everything I thought I knew about myself. All of it. Jinwoo was quiet for a moment, and Maya could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat against her back. Then he spoke, his voice soft but certain. The only thing I regret is that it took me so long to realize that power isn't about what you own. It's about what you're willing to fight for. He turned her in his arms, and Maya saw her whole future in his eyes. And what are you willing to fight for? You, he said simply. Us. Always. When he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was deep and claiming and full of promise. It tasted like victory and new beginnings, and the kind of love that rebuilds empires from ashes. As Seoul sparkled around them, Maya realized that Jinwoo had been right. They hadn't lost anything that mattered. They'd simply learned what mattered most. 1 year later, Maya stood in another ballroom, but this time she wasn't working. She was wearing white silk and holding a bouquet of orchids, watching Jinwoo wait for her at the altar with that same intense stare that had captured her from the very beginning. Their wedding was smaller than the corporate events they usually planned, but it was perfect. Every detail chosen with love rather than strategy. Every guest someone who had supported them through the rebuilding. When Jinwoo spoke his vows, his voice was steady but his eyes were bright with emotion. Maya-chun, you walked into my world and changed everything. You taught me that real power isn't about controlling others. It's about surrendering to the right person. You are my empire, my kingdom, my everything. And I promise to spend every day proving that choosing you was the best decision I ever made. Maya's voice shook as she spoke her own vows. Jinwoo Park, you showed me that love isn't about being safe. It's about being brave enough to rebuild when everything falls apart. You chose me when the whole world was against us, and I choose you for the rest of my life. When they kissed as husband and wife, Maya tasted salt from her own tears and felt Jinwoo's hands shake slightly as he held her face. Around them, their friends and family cheered, but Maya only heard the sound of Jinwoo's whispered words against her lips. Forever, he said. No matter what. Forever, she agreed. As they danced their first dance as a married couple, Maya caught sight of their reflection in the ballroom mirrors. They looked like what they were, two people who had chosen each other over everything else. Two people who had built something beautiful from the ashes of what they'd lost. The song ended, but Jinwoo didn't let her go. Instead, he leaned down to whisper in her ear, just like he had that very first night. Try me, he said, and Maya laughed, remembering. I did, she whispered back. And it was the best decision I ever made. If this story made you believe in the kind of love that conquers everything, then subscribe and hit that notification bell. Comment below and tell me which moment made your heart race. Was it Jinwoo giving up his empire for Maya, their first fight that almost broke them, or that perfect wedding that proved love really can rebuild anything? Your comments inspire these stories, and I read every single one. Thank you for taking this journey with Maya and Jinwoo. Their love story proves that sometimes you have to lose everything to find what really matters. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, it's going to be just as unforgettable.